Everybody, and welcome to Guided Reading. This week we're going to be looking at pages 8 to 12 of Romans on the Rampage. So we'll read those pages through and then we'll have a vocabulary discussion and a predict activity. Before we read the next pages, we just need to remind ourselves of what happened on the last page that we read. So I'm going to read this page through and then just continue up to page 12. I bet Scorcher would have won if he'd have been the charioteer. Personally speaking, I don't think Jealous likes Scorcher. Probably because Scorcher has a real talent, oh yes. So poor Scorcher is standing at the side, looking miserable, while the next race gets underway. 7 laps around the Circus Maximus. The trumpets blare, the Emperor drops the starter's white handkerchief, and they're off. You've never heard anything like it. You've never seen anything like it. Come on, you greens, the crowd yells. Ooh, ah, ooh, crackety crash, shipwreck. The Whites' chariot tried to force the Reds off the track at the bend. That's where all the best action happens. Those bends are dangerous. The Whites went thundering into the Reds, and both chariots have collapsed, losing their wheels. Well done, Whites. You've knocked yourself out of the competition. Numbskulls. The riders have jumped clear, cutting the reins so they don't get dragged after the horses, which have gone cantering off by themselves. Daft beasts. Horses, if you ask me. Now they're shaking their heads at each other as if they're saying, "What am I doing? What are you doing? I'm doing what you're doing, and you're doing what I'm doing. We're doing. Oh. Where's everyone gone? Hello? Anyone there?" Hopeless creatures. Get over it. Still, the riders seem to be okay, except for the one being carried off with a broken leg. He doesn't look very happy, but at least he'll live to race another day. Sometimes they don't. And guess which team won? The Greens. Of course not. And you know why, don't you? One day, Jealous, you're going to have to let young Scorcher show what he can do, because if you don't, I shall personally fly down and peck your knees until they're right down by your ankles. Ha ha, gah! Give us a biscuit. Chapter 2, Nasty Neighbours. We walked back to the villa very slowly because we were all in mourning for the Greens, not to mention Scorcher. Well, the family walked while I hopped, strutted, flapped, and generally made my annoyance with Jealous clear to everyone. Perilous's dad, Crisis, kept shooing me out of the way with his foot, so I took a quick sideways swipe at his left big toe with my beak. I have to say that, as honkers go, my beak is a whopper. So Crisis leaped into the air, clutching his foot, and then I had to hop the rest of the way home too. Oops. So sorry, I said. I was sure that was a dead mouse I was pecking. It was my toe, you idiot, Crisis roared. As I was saying, Crisis, I'm most apologetic. I could not be more remorseful if I'd actually eaten your toe. May Jupiter, God of gods, rain blessings and a plaster upon your pink appendage. I hope, dear reader, that you're as impressed by my little speech as I was. I must say that, considering I'm a raven, I do have a way with words, thanks to my teacher, Thesaurus. Perillus was certainly amused. He was grinning at me and pretending to hop and clutch his foot too. Good thing his dad couldn't see him. But let us move on. Or hop on, in Crisis's case. Ha ha ha! I crack myself up sometimes. By the time we reached the villa, Hysteria was in tears, poor girl. She has a habit of bursting into wild sobbing from time to time. Poor Scorcher! I really feel for him, Marta. Marta. That's your actual Latin again. It means mother, in case you didn't know. Aren't you learning a lot? Yes, you are. Here you go. Have a biscuit. I know, darling, said Flavia as she went upstairs. She's a marvel, that woman. I've never seen anyone glide about the way Flavia does. She is tall, elegant, and serene, and when she moves, you can't see her legs doing anything at all. It's as if she's on little wheels. She's never flustered either. Crisis doesn't know how lucky he is to have a wife like that. I'd marry her myself if she was a raven. Maybe I could stick wings on her and pretend. No, you're right. It wouldn't work, would it? I'm going upstairs to change, Flavia told everyone. The air at the races was so clogged with dust I could barely breathe. I'll be down soon. And off she glid. Glided? Glided. I shall have to check that one with Thesaurus. Meanwhile, Hysteria carried on bewailing Scorcher being left out of the team. Perillus watched his sister somewhat scornfully. He came across to where I had perched myself beside the pool in the atrium. Latin. Atrium, small courtyard. Every villa has one. Why do girls make such a fuss about everything? He asked. I cocked my head to one side and held his gaze. Why do boys like showing off? I asked in return. Okay, lovely. So that's where we're going to end at page 12. And then we're going to do this vocabulary activity. We're going to look up the words and write down the definition. So the first word we have is morning. And just be careful to look at how this is spelt because it is different to morning as in the morning I'm going to school. It's a different morning, so just check that before you look up the definition. And then the second word is marvel, and that's on page 11. The third word is serene, and that's also on page 11. And on page 12, we have the word bewailing. And once you've written down these definitions, we've got a question for you to answer here. And the question is, what do you notice about the definitions for mourning and bewailing? And that will be really interesting to see what you notice about those two words there. The answers are on the next page from the vocabulary, but I've just skipped those through because we don't need to see them just yet. Okay, so the next activity is to write a prediction about what will happen next. And we've got some questions for you to get you thinking. So, how will Scorcher react to Jealous losing the race? So how's Scorcher going to be feeling? Jealous has lost another race. So think about how he'll be feeling and write that down and write down why you think he'll be feeling like that. And then have a think and write and answer the question, who do you think will race the next charioteer race? So who do you think will be racing on the green team in the next race around the Circus Maximus? Okay, and then the last question is, how do you think people would react if Jealous let Scorcher on the race team for the next race? So how do you think everyone's going to feel if Scorcher finally gets to race on the green team at the next race? Lovely. So once you've answered all of those questions, that's the guided reading done for today. I hope you enjoy it and good luck, and I'll see you very soon.